Hey,
Hi.
happy Sunday.
Yay.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? You had your COVID booster.
Yes, I had a double whammy. Flu in one arm and COVID in the other. And the flu arm is fine now, but
Hmm.
I, I had them done on Friday. The COVID one though is just
Wow.
it's good. It's going to take maybe a week or two.
Wow.
Yeah, it burns going in, it burns when they pull the needle out. It's
Really?
just, I've not experienced such subcutaneous pain since I had to get a potassium drip when I had the flu and I was dehydrated.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, other people might not feel that, or maybe different vaccines act differently, and I've stuck with Pfizer the whole way,
Yeah, I've done Pfizer the whole way too, as far as I know.
but it always does this to me, and then it kicks my butt and
Wow.
gives me fever and chills and all that. Yeah. So I've been sick this weekend and done virtually nothing.
You've been actively recovering. That's not
This
fun.
is true.
Your
Yes.
body has been very busy.
Yes. Yes. So hold on, I lost my place. Okay. Welcome to Goodnight, Mr. Holmes, a podcast mostly about the Granada Sherlock Holmes, which ran on TV in the UK between 1984 and 1994, masterpiece mystery in the US around the same time. I'm Laura.
And I'm Rachel.
And we're not looking at the Granada Holmes today. As we mentioned last week, we're looking at the 2002 version of Hound of the Baskervilles, starring Richard Roxburgh as Holmes and Ian Hart as Watson. And we were just talking about Ian Hart before I hit record, who, Rachel, you pointed out that he played Professor Quirrell in The Sorcerer's Stone. And he played that stunted version of Voldemort living in the back of Professor Quirrell. No spoilers. And the cast also includes Richard E. Grant as Stapleton. Brilliant casting. John Nettles from Midsummer Murders as Mortimer. And I was just, I just felt immediately at home watching him. Also, the inspector. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it also includes Geraldine James, who would play Mrs. Hudson in the Robert Downey Jr. movie Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. The inspector in this version is Lestrade. We haven't gotten to him yet. He's in the second half. He's played by Danny Webb. Ian Hart actually played Arthur Conan Doyle in Finding Neverland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he did another Watson as well against Rupert Everett as Holmes.
Yeah, it was it was this same group, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was a scheduling thing or what, Richard Roxburgh wasn't in it, so he was replaced with Rupert Everett. I haven't seen that one. I really like this version, well, for a lot of reasons, but a lot of what I like is the chemistry between Holmes and Watson. And I just couldn't see Rupert Everett taking place.
No. And it's also an acanonical story, right? Something about a slipper.
Oh yeah, silk stocking or something.
Yeah, something. Roxburgh also played Moriarty in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So 12 actors in all of Britain, they just spin a wheel to pick which ones are going to be in something. So this version opens with the coroner's report of Sir Charles's death being interrupted by a police siren. Selden, the murderer, has escaped onto the moor, and the cops and guards are after him. Selden is played by a guy who typically plays heavies. I was looking at his IMDb history, and yeah, he plays these big burly, grouchy guys.
I can see that.
Yeah, he's tight.
Guy.
Yeah, so he falls into the Grimpen mire, but he pulls himself out just as one of the guards falls in pursuit, and we're treated to this tragic.
There's two of them,
right? Yeah, it's another guard trying to rescue the first,
right.
And they're both consumed by the mire, and they're just like cats resting on top of a cliff.
Yeah, like they plead with Selden to help them, and he just watches as they slowly sink beneath the surface, and like you can see these terrified eyes as they're
Yeah.
and a spooky howling starts.
Yes, exactly. Yep. I mean, as Gen Xers, we were taught to be afraid of quicksand.
Yes, it really hasn't been as much a part of my life as TV thought it would be.
But the Grimpen Mire is presented in that same sort of way that, you know, quicksand on Gilligan's Island or whatever.
Right.
So Holmes and Watson are coming out of a Turkish bath.
I saw this on PBS when it first aired, and when this scene started, I remember laughing like, oh, okay, I see we're going with the romantic couple angle on this relationship.
There's more on the Turkish bath in a little bit. And my note is just that Holmes doesn't seem like an ascetic here.
No, it does.
But that said,
maybe it was Watson's idea, and he was like, "All right, fine."
In the original stories, he and Watson would visit Turkish baths frequently. So it was, and probably was Watson, you know, from the medicinal point of view.
Yeah,
a sauna, you know, getting beaten with small sticks, that kind of thing. And they're arguing about where to dine, and Holmes says they need to stay in. He's getting a visit from Dr. Mortimer.
Yeah, Watson says he could murder a bottle of Montrachet. Where will we dine?
So John Nettles, nearly unrecognizable in a beard and long gray hair. He looks cool. I was really grooving on that. And he's got this tie that isn't quite an ascot and isn't quite a tie. It's very artistic looking.
Yeah. I do want to point out the captions give Holmes's name as Sherlock. And as much as we give the BBC Sherlock series shit on this podcast, I do want to point out that until that series aired, nobody called Holmes by his first name. Moffat and Gatiss mentioned on the commentary for the series that even they had some trepidation about using his first name. Like, are we allowed to do this?
Well, it's a weird first name.
Yeah. And nobody before you has really used it.
And it doesn't sound all that dignified by itself. Hey, Sherlock!
But, you know, as many issues as that series had, it did leave a lasting cultural impact in how we refer to Sherlock Holmes. Calling him Sherlock now feels normal.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely. So this movie was filmed in 2002. So it was before, about 8 years before BBC Sherlock. So it wasn't that long.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Amazon that's done something to it or the studio or something, but there are a few cuts in this.
Okay.
They don't actually bother me. I'll mention them as they come up. There's one that we'll get to shortly, and then there's one in the second part.
Okay.
But you know, maybe they revised the captions as long as they were going in there.
Well, in the sitting room at 221B, Mortimer is telling Holmes why he's come. Holmes says to Watson to make a long arm and pull down an accordion file. I've never heard that expression before, and I really love it. And so the accordion file contains newspaper clippings about Baskerville, the place. But Mortimer says that those are insufficient. He's got more information that he did not pass on to the coroner due to it being superstitious.
Yeah, Watson jumps on it before he can add that caveat, like he withheld information from the coroner's court. No.
Watson in this movie has a real, like, he is a soldier and things have to be done by the book.
Yep.
And if you're not doing something by the book, he's going to come on top of you.
Yep. Absolutely. And
so Mortimer lays out the legend of the Hound, which we know, and it's pretty much, there are minor differences in this version. During the English Civil War, Hugo Baskerville was a wild, profane, godless man. He accused his wife of having an affair. He beat her. She fled across the moor. Hugo followed, caught her, killed her, but her devoted hound turned around and killed Hugo, ripping out his throat. And the legend is that the ghost of the Hound has been haunting the moor ever since. And the Baskervilles themselves have been, coincidentally, an unlucky family. Lots of premature deaths, things like that.
Mhm.
So Sir Charles believed this legend, and Mortimer himself has been a little bit shaken.
Yeah, he asks Holmes if do you find this interesting? And Holmes is like, to a collector of fairy tales.
Yes.
And Watson smirks like, yeah, good one, Sherlock. But Mortimer says Sir Charles's death was no fairy tale, and
Yeah.
he took the legend exceedingly to heart, and nothing would induce him to go out on the moor at night.
Yes. So while the butler, Barrymore, reported to the coroner that there had been no footprints in the snow around Sir Charles's body, Mortimer himself observed the great quote, "the footprints of a gigantic hound," near the corpse.
I love this line, and I love the way John Nettles delivers it. Like, he really lingers on the word hound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all got this nice, it's evening, we're sitting in this room in candlelight, it's got this nice Gothic atmosphere.
Yes. Like we're telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the parlor before bed. Watson, like we were saying, really can't forgive Mortimer for withholding evidence, as specious as that evidence might seem. Mortimer goes on to say that Sir Charles's footprints in the snow changed. He was walking on his toes. And Holmes scolds Mortimer for not calling him in sooner.
Which seems like a weird way to get clients.
Yes, exactly. Mortimer says he couldn't. Besides, he says,
well, he says, I couldn't have called you in, not without disclosing these facts to the whole world. And we all look pointedly at Watson.
Yes. I love that. Yes. Besides, he says, there is an area in which the most acute and experienced of detectives is helpless. Which, I mean, also, if you're seeking help, maybe don't insult the detective.
Right. So Holmes, as in the Granada version, is like, cool, so why are you here? I'm not here about Sir Charles. I just thought I would toss in some atmospheric backstory before getting to the point.
So, Sir Henry, Charles's nephew in this story, and heir, is arriving at Euston Station in less than an hour. So we don't know where quite he must have been taking a boat and then taking a train from the boat. Euston Station back then was a grand place, architecturally speaking, on the level of Grand Central after the renovation. Yeah.
Wow.
Now it's a lot more practical and a lot less spectacular. It's more like Penn Station. Busy, chaotic, low ceilings. It's got one purpose and one purpose only, and that is not to make you marvel at architectural wonders.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people going through here. Keep moving.
Right, exactly. So Holmes instructs Mortimer to pick up Sir Henry, and for both of them to call upon him in the morning, by which point he'll have made up his mind as to whether he's going to take the case.
Mortimer says after Sir Charles died, they made inquiries about the next of kin and found a nephew farming in Canada. The Granada version uses the word territories, which, given the context, you could assume to be Canada. This version doesn't make you look that up and just tells you.
Yes, exactly. So as Mortimer's leaving, Holmes asks Watson, what do you make of it? Bewildering, Watson says, the change in footprints, for example, why should a man be walking on tiptoe? He wasn't walking on tiptoe, Holmes responds. He was running for his life. And I take issue with this because one normally doesn't run on tiptoe either. You're going to hit heel first. And as a former runner, you can do.
It depends on how you walk. I tend to walk more on my toes than on my heels.
Okay.
So, he was running until he burst his heart and fell dead upon his face. Like that a lot too. Right here is a few seconds that they cut. Holmes is going into his room and pulling out his syringe.
Oh, that's okay. They refer to it in the IMDb page for this, and I was like, I'm not seeing it. Okay, that's where it is. Fair.
Yeah, I don't actually object. I don't like it when parts of a movie are cut for whatever
moral
moral
purity.
reason
Yeah.
somebody has. In this particular case, in terms of the story, I don't actually mind it because it doesn't detract from the story at all, and it actually removes something that it is a bit distracting.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, also we mustn't frighten the children, etc. So the next morning at 221B, Sir Henry shows Holmes a note that he's received at his hotel with the cutout newspaper letters. Holmes deduces that the edition of the newspaper was from the day before, and the note says, "If you value your life, stay away from the moor." And the pieces were
Value
cut.
your life for your reason, right?
Or your reason. The pieces were cut using nail scissors, as in the original story. All that is faithful. Sir Henry is staying at the Northumberland Hotel, a decision he made only after being picked up by Dr. Mortimer. So for the note to arrive at his hotel, he'd have had to have been followed.
Yeah, and Holmes is, as he's talking about the letter, is going from window to window, looking out until he sees a carriage that's just sitting there.
Yep. So I looked up the Northumberland Hotel. There was such a place in the 1880s. It's near Charing Cross and Trafalgar Square, so smack in the middle of London. The Turkish baths that Watson and Holmes would visit were located right next door.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
And unlike in the Granada version, this Northumberland Hotel isn't a 5-star establishment, but a cozy little boutique hotel. And it's now a pub called the Sherlock Holmes.
Aw.
Yeah, and it features all kinds of memorabilia and a recreation of the sitting room of 221B.
Wow.
And I must go there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea this place even existed.
Yeah.
Anyway, Holmes notes that the envelope of the note is written in what he calls rough letters, but the Times, he says, is a paper for educated people. Therefore, he says the letter was composed by an educated man who wished to appear uneducated. His effort to conceal his writing suggests that it might be known or come to be known by you.
And he then sniffs the letter, like bringing it slowly to his face and then abruptly down, like in the kind of gesture that is reminiscent of Jeremy Brett's portrayal of Holmes.
Yeah, and those kinds of movements are few and far between in this Holmes.
Yeah.
He plays it straight.
Yeah.
There's very few flourishes or like I felt like,
he's a very laid back Holmes.
yes. And I also felt like he had put like this boundary, right, in a way that Brett invites you in.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, my feeling about Roxburgh is that there's no foothold or crack or anything.
Yeah. Like Watson's inside and that's it. He's got everybody he needs.
Yep, exactly. So Holmes sends Sir Henry and Mortimer back to the hotel, saying they'll meet up at 11 for a late breakfast at the hotel. But Holmes and Watson leave to tail Sir Henry and Mortimer back to the hotel in order to find out who's trailing Sir Henry.
Yeah, well, technically they're tailing the cab.
Yes, they start running after this cab, but they lose him. Holmes is only able to catch a glimpse of a black beard. Watson's made a note of the cabbie's hack number, so like the medallion number on modern cabs. So Holmes sends him to the dispatch office to find out more. Meanwhile, he goes on to the hotel and sees Sir Henry coming out of his room, angry about the loss of a boot. 2 boots, in fact, an old black one and a new brown one. And a bellboy comes running up with the missing new brown one, but the black one remains missing. And Sir Henry is very put out.
Yeah, Mortimer thinks it's a useless thing to steal, a single boot. I find this version easier to follow than the Granada version. It's like there's less noise in the storytelling.
I agree, yeah.
Like, you know right away there's a dog actually involved because of the stuff with the boots. We tried the new boot and, it turns out it's new. So we have to go back to the old one.
Yep, exactly. So at breakfast, Holmes and Watson tell Sir Henry about Selden, the escaped convict. In this version, he killed his parents, but because he was only 16 at the time, he wasn't hanged.
Maybe his parents sucked.
Justifiable homicide.
We get a flashback to Selden escaping across the moor and then a close-up on his tattooed hand as he pulls himself in the quicksand.
Right.
So we're only doing part 1. But that will be important for part 2.
I don't even see tattoos anymore. They're so common.
No, I kind of don't, especially when the hand is already dirty, but
Yeah.
it's
I totally missed
it's
that
a clue for later.
Okay. I totally missed that detail because it's like tattoos are just not part of anything anymore.
Yeah.
Not that I have any, but I mean, my problem is the same as putting art on my wall. I have a hard time narrowing things down and deciding I can live with something for the rest of my life. It's not out of an.
Well, you can cycle the artwork around.
That's true, but you can't do that with a tattoo, and that's why I haven't done it. Because I am completely indecisive.
Get a temporary tattoo.
Yeah, I should do that. Holmes suddenly asks Mortimer if there's anyone at Baskerville with a black beard, and Mortimer says yes. Sir Charles's butler, Barrymore. Did he profit from Sir Charles's death? Holmes asks. He and his wife were left £500 each, Mortimer says, and then
£78,536 today each.
Yeah. You could do a lot with that.
Yep.
And then almost sheepishly, Mortimer says, I also had money left to me. He says £5,000.
That is £785,369 today.
You could buy a whole house in the New York area with that.
And have nothing left. I don't think you could buy a house in the New York area with that. I think you're talking $1 million plus.
No, I mean, on Staten Island, you can. I've been looking.
Oh, okay.
The condo I've had my eye on, it was available for $500K like 3 years ago, and a unit just opened up. They're selling it for $900K now. And I'm like, no. I love this location. I love the building. I am not paying that. And if I have to pay that, I'm getting a house.
Yeah.
So, anyone else? Holmes asks. No, the residue all went to Sir Henry. And how much was the residue? The total value of the estate, Sir Henry says, was somewhat in excess of £1 million.
So 156,073,579 pounds today.
Insane.
Yeah. And Holmes is like, oh, I'm guessing money is the motive now.
Yes, it is a stake for which a man might well play a desperate game.
And I would just like to note that Watson has been eating throughout this whole conversation.
Yes. Holmes moves on to the next question, whether Sir Henry should go on to Baskerville Hall. There's no devil in hell or man on earth that can prevent me from going to the home of my own people, Sir Henry says.
I like that line too.
I do too, but I'm like, he's never set foot there before. But Watson says, good for you, because this fits in with Watson's, morality.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been trying to place Sir Henry's accent because it honestly sounds a lot like that of the footman Jack / John in the Gilded Age. Below stairs he's Jack, above stairs he's John. And I mean, he's played by a kid. It's kind of Brooklyn-y with elided R's. So like Mortimer would be pronounced Mortimer, which for a guy who spent much of his life in Canada seems a little off. It's like they don't, like we don't really distinguish British accents that well unless like we're very into.
Well, they're Canada. It depends. We don't know what part of Canada he was in.
Well, he wasn't in Brooklyn, Canada.
No, but the Newfoundland area has a very thick accent that we don't normally associate with Canada.
Oh, good point. Yeah. Well, the actor who plays him, like Roxburgh, is Australian. And he was in an episode of his picture. So, it's like there's too much in the mix there, and no wonder the accent comes out funny. Anyway, Sir Henry tells the men he's returning to Baskerville that very day with Dr. Mortimer. Holmes points out that Dr. Mortimer is a busy man, so he needs to take someone who can remain persistently at his side, and this would be Watson.
Yeah, the camera cuts to Watson, and it looks like he's bristling quietly at this. Like, are you implying I'm a layabout with nothing better to do?
Right. Yes. In both of these versions, Watson's like, oh, really? This is news to me. So Holmes is sending off Watson with his luggage in a cab alongside Sir Henry and Dr. Mortimer, and he's telling Watson to write to him about anything and everything. No detail is to be left out, and that he's to keep his revolver with him night and day. And then leaning into the cab, he warns Sir Henry to never go out alone.
Yeah, there's a moment where Holmes is he's just come through the doorway and then just kind of stops and looks uncertain, and Watson asks him what's wrong, and that's when Holmes says, "Do you have your revolver?"
Ah, right. Yes. In this version, they're not checking their guns as constantly as they were in the Granada. So Holmes asks Sir Henry about the old black boot, and Sir Henry says, no, it's gone forever. And Holmes then tells Sir Henry to avoid the moor, quote, in the hours of darkness when the powers of evil are exalted. And then they're off to Paddington Station. So lots of railway stations.
Yeah, and Holmes watches the cab
they-
until it disappears.
Yep. So Paddington's utterly enormous. It's got a super high arched glass roof. It was designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, which I love that name so much. He was an industrialist in the 19th century and was largely responsible for a lot of the pollution that caused London fog. And it's the hub of, and it has been historically, of the Great Western Service. And they are going west. It's got lots of shops, and the surrounding area is so charming. I once sublet an apartment there for a week in the days before Airbnb to attend a conference. And I had a friend who liked to sublet her apartment out, and then she would go off on these long walking tours in Wales.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was a really good arrangement. Notting Hill is nearby. There are these lovely white mansions that have been converted to apartments with the Grecian pillars in the front, a lot like Belgravia. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods.
Nice.
So in the train, which incongruously goes past St. Paul's Cathedral on its way out of town, which geographically isn't possible, Sir Henry and Watson are looking at a map, and Mortimer's pointing out the landscape. The prison at Princeton, a little hamlet of Grimpen, the vastness of the moor, all of that. Meanwhile, Holmes is in the cab yard.
Well, and there's a nice bit of dialogue here. Like, must be a wild place, Watson says. And Henry says, a worthy setting if the devil did decide to have a hand in the affairs of men.
Ooh.
Then there's the cut of Mortimer's face looking like, oh shit, I never thought of that.
Yeah, I wasn't capturing as much of the dialogue in this one.
I got you covered.
Thank you. So Holmes is in the cab yard. He's locating the vehicle, which was following Sir Henry, and he's collecting some evidence from it. He's sweeping up dust, clipping fibers, etc. And just as he's tweezing a bit of gravel into a container, he's assaulted by the driver. But he turns it around quickly and he pins the driver up against the wall.
Yeah, the fight does not involve Holmes holding up his fist and then moving them back and forth for some reason.
And dancing ballet.
Confuse your opponent into
Right.
surrendering. Now, this is an actual fight.
Tell me about the fare that came and watched my house at Baker Street at 9 o'clock this morning, he says. I don't know what you're talking about, the driver says. And afterward followed two gentlemen down Regent Street. Where did you pick him up? Trafalgar Square, the cabbie says. How would you describe him? Holmes asks, and he's still throttling him.
I wouldn't.
So Holmes pins him back up against the wall again, this time with his cane across the driver's throat. 40 years old, about your height, black beard. Color of his eyes, Holmes demands. Sky blue, pink. And Holmes presses the cane against the cabbie's throat again. Where did you drop him? And we never get the color of the eyes. I watched this twice. Back in Trafalgar Square. Anything else? He told me his name. As he was leaving, he said, you might be interested to know that you've been driving Mr. Sherlock Holmes. And Holmes just starts laughing.
And the laugh, I like this transition. The laugh transitions into the screech of the train as it arrives at the station.
Yes. So at Grimpen, the train's pulling in. It's raining.
It will be doing that a lot.
Yeah, it's a wet place. Mortimer, Watson, and Sir Henry disembark. Sir Henry's noticing the police / guardsmen minding the area, presumably looking for Selden. A man comes up to him and introduces himself as Perkin, the groom. Perkin takes the bags and shows them to a carriage, and they begin driving over a bridge towards Baskerville. And Mortimer sees more guards prowling the moor on horseback, and he asks Perkins if they haven't caught Selden yet. I mean, why would they be there if they had? And Perkins says they've had no sight of him, sir. Yeah, they just like riding horseback around the moor.
I don't have a lot to do around here. So.
Watson looks out at them and says, to think of him lurking out there on such a night as this, like a wild beast.
Hmm.
So, I mean, but I think this scene was done very well because you can almost feel the raw, wet, cold air.
Yeah, it's beautifully filmed. The way this was filmed, I don't know the backstory of this version. I don't know if it was intended for theaters,
right?
And if it ever did air in theaters, I don't think it did here. It was just on PBS. But it's got that kind of scale to the cinematography.
Yep.
And
large pan.
Yeah. And it makes the moor look much more lovely than it did in the Granada version.
Yes.
Which you could kind of make a joke about it being the design colors of the era. Back in the 80s, it was very brown. And so see this brown mess. And blue filters were a thing in the early aughts. And so got a lot of nice, vivid blues and greens.
Also, the filming locations were different. So they were not in Yorkshire filming this. And the Yorkshire moors are very brown. Mm-hmm. So they're looking at a different landscape entirely. And they did a lot of filming, weirdly, on the Isle of Man.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure quite where they're getting the moor shots from, but I think Merripit House is supposed to be on the Isle of Man. Yeah. But these guys, they're not in covered carriages, but they're in traps, open, and their hats and coats are soaked.
Soaked, yeah.
Drenched. I'm just trying to imagine these felt hats like taking on water.
Yeah, and the music, as they arrive at Baskerville Hall, the music swells. They pass through the gate, and you see it like with the camera pointing up.
Yeah,
as you're going under the archway with the bee and the ironwork, and it gives me chills the way it all comes together.
And there are these Hound's Head gargoyles.
Yeah, you get flashes of interesting little bits of Baskerville Hall as they're coming up.
Yep. And at this point, Sir Henry says something about, I'm going to put electric lights in. Because it's creepy. So go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Baskerville Hall was actually filmed in Cumbria, which is way to the north of England, kind of across from Scotland, at a place called Leven's Hall. So also remote. I have a friend who lives up in Cumbria. There's nothing there. And that's why she loves it. And the landscapes are very broad and, panoramic and phenomenal. So Barrymore and Mrs. Barrymore, like all servants, are standing outside in the rain to greet them.
Yes.
Mortimer goes back home to his wife, while Watson and Sir Henry go inside.
Yeah, Henry asks Mortimer to stay for dinner. Mortimer's like, fuck no, have you seen this place? Don't hesitate to send for me if you're being attacked by a hound or something.
Right. The furniture inside is covered in white sheets, so unused. I guess it's taken them some time to find Sir Henry. Right.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Mrs. Barrymore, I'm sure, was like, nobody's living here but us. I'm not dusting all this crap.
Exactly. Yep. So the men are shown to their rooms, and this scene is so funny. So later, as Sir Henry is wrestling with his white tie, Watson comes into his room, also dressed for dinner, and Sir Henry tells him, "Try the bed." Watson sits down with a thump. Granite mattress, excellent choice. Wouldn't do to be too comfortable, Sir Henry says. And this kind of thing, coupled with the remark about electric lights, kind of points to the North American emphasis on comfort and convenience.
Yeah.
Contrary to the British aristocratic emphasis on history and tradition. That mattress used to have Henry VIII sleeping on it, or something like that.
Or something.
It's
stuffed with the bones of our enemies.
Yes, it's a bias that's still in place today, and part of the reason Prince Harry's routinely mocked in the right-wing British press is for preferring American comforts over drafty, insufficiently heated castles and much mended bed linen. How dare he?
Exactly. Who wouldn't want to be in a drafty, unheated house?
Yeah. Don't you know what history means? It means you have to suffer. So Watson picks up a photograph in Sir Henry's room. It's three men. There's Sir Charles, then Sir Henry's father, Sir Charles's brother, and then a third man named Roger, who Sir Henry says had held a position in the guards, meaning the military, and was, quote, drummed out, conduct unbecoming. He died penniless and alone, apparently.
Yeah, the apparently is important, implying that the family assumes it rather than actually knows.
Right.
And then because this is a mystery story, we are immediately distracted from this clue by Watson getting tired of Henry being incompetent at tying his tie into support.
I love that scene just tremendously. All of it.
Yeah.
At dinner, they're surrounded by portraits of Baskervilles and married inns.
Yeah, and they're sitting at opposite ends of a very long time.
Long table. Yes. And Henry feels intimidated by the portraits, basically by everything. Watson reassures him that, everything will warm up as he becomes more familiar with it.
Yeah, they'll warm up when you get to know them.
Yes.
I really like the portrayal of Watson in this. He's got a way with the words. Granite mattress, like murder a Montrachet, and kind of a whimsical sense of humor.
He's really different from either David Burke or
Edward Hardwicke.
Yes, Edward Hardwicke, who are more, like we were saying, avuncular.
Yeah.
This Watson is not.
Yeah, he's pretty young. This is a young Holmes and Watson.
He reminds me a lot of the Martin Freeman version, actually.
Yeah.
Not just in their youth, but in their sticklerness.
Yeah.
But anyway, Barrymore points out the portrait of Sir Hugo in austere black robes, as befits someone in the 1600s, and then one of his wife.
Yeah, her hair looks like she stuck her finger in an electrical socket.
Yes, and she's wearing this big poofy dress.
Yeah. There's a large dog sitting next to her.
Yes, and the Hound. They didn't dress like that. Women didn't dress like that in the 1600s. They were more austere back then.
This is for a portrait, so weren't dressing and.
Good point. Yeah. Sir Henry asks Barrymore to thank his wife for the excellent meal, and Barrymore looks very pleased.
Yeah. He almost looks surprised.
Right, because he didn't expect.
Okay.
Yeah. As Watson's composing the first of his reports to Holmes in the night, in his robe and nightgown, we see Barrymore and the missus in the kitchen. Mrs. Barrymore is looking troubled, and her husband.
They're laying out bread and milk on the table.
And a big slab of meat, I noticed.
Okay.
I guess they're having a cold supper.
They're not.
Her husband puts a hand on her shoulder to comfort her, which is a little challenging because she's taller than him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they're not having a cold supper because after he puts his hand on his shoulder, they leave the room.
They leave the room, yes. So in the night, Watson's awakened by loud weeping, presumably Mrs. Barrymore downstairs. He goes, out onto the landing to kind of confirm that, and then he goes back into his room and closes the door.
Yeah, he's like, oh, right, it's between 1 and 3 a.m. We were told about this ghost.
Right. No, there's an upset housekeeper.
I love that he's all, yep, that's a woman sobbing. Glad I cleared that up, and just goes back to bed.
So the next morning at breakfast, Sir Henry shows off his new duds, which are old duds, saying he's every inch the country squire. And
Barrymore meant just barely manages to not roll his eyes.
Yeah. And he tells Barrymore to dispose of his old clothes as you see fit, in quotes. And, it's clear he's wearing his uncle's old clothes, which were, tweeds, wool, sustainable fiber.
Yeah.
Probably it wouldn't be an issue. Like, these clothes are not going to wear out ever.
Right. Yeah.
Henry's kind of coming around to the manor. He's feeling nearly cheerful as they eat breakfast. But because Watson hates cheerfulness, he points out that a woman was sobbing in the night.
Yeah, Watson's like, no, we're in a Gothic horror story.
Right. Sir Henry concurs that he heard it, but he thought it was a dream. And then Sir Henry asks Barrymore about it. Barrymore tells him there are only 2 women in the house, a scullery maid who sleeps in the other wing of the house, and his own wife, and he denies that it was Mrs. Barrymore doing the crying. So, that mystery unresolved, Watson heads out to mail his letter through a large and threatening hedge maze.
Yeah, they're huge. They're like 2 or 3 times
Towering.
the size of Watson.
Yeah.
Like we're in The Shining.
Right. Yes. And he opens a side gate and he starts across the moor. The wind and the fog and the damp are making for a very inhospitable walk. He comes across a sort of makeshift tent and he knocks his cane against a wooden beam, and a man comes over to greet him. It's Stapleton of Merrypit House, who is Richard E. Grant. Which this is a very different scene than the Granada one, because in the Granada one, it's Mortimer in the tent.
Yeah.
Doing his like thing with skulls.
Yeah. And I think in the Granada version, we actually did see Watson mailing his letter.
Yeah. Or trying to.
And it was on the way back that he met Stapleton. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Stapleton very eagerly asks after Sir Henry and then shows Watson what he's up to. He's been excavating a human skeleton, which he assures Watson is ancient. I did not kill this man. And then he eagerly asks Watson if Sherlock Holmes is going to honor us with a visit. And
Watson's all, I am more than an appendage of my boyfriend, sir.
Yes. And he really cuts him off and says the Holmes can't leave town. He's so noticeably put off by Stapleton's attitude, and that Stapleton apologizes.
Yes.
And he then leads Watson across the moor to Merrypit House to meet his sister. They hear a roaring sound. Watson asks what it was. Stapleton admits that the locals think it's the ghost of the Hound calling for its next victim, which, again, I'm like, you're not going to get any prey if you start yelling about it.
Yes. We cut from them chatting to thunderstorm, and they're walking across the moor in this downpour while Stapleton's saying, the moor's a wonderful place.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really great. Stapleton goes on, it's so vast and barren and mysterious. Walk exactly where I walk.
Yeah, he says that. Yeah.
Yes.
And as far as the roaring sound goes, Stapleton thinks it's just the sound of the wind in old mine shafts. And he recommends Watson talk to Mrs. Mortimer, who conducts seances. She calls herself a medium. Peasants call her a witch, he says. And you, what do you call her? Well, I call her Mrs. Mortimer.
I love the dialogue in this.
Yeah. So Merrypit House is also a large stone mansion, smaller than Baskerville Hall, but still pretty big.
Yeah, we get some views of the moor as they come up on Merrypit House, and it is indeed vast, but it also looks quite lovely, actually.
Yes. And Watson waits while Stapleton puts away his archaeological equipment. And as he's taking out a cigarette, Stapleton's sister, Beryl, comes out. Watson starts to introduce himself, but Beryl cuts him off. Go back. Go straight back to London. Keep away from the moor. For God's sake, do as I ask.
You value your life or your reason.
Yes. And then Stapleton comes over and Beryl immediately changes her demeanor. I was telling Sir Henry about how beautiful the moor can be.
In winter, and goes on to describe that ice storm, which, I guess if you're not worried about the power going out from downed electrical cables, ice storms are pretty.
They're gorgeous, actually.
Yeah,
especially when the light hits.
yeah. I'm from the Midwest and I've lived through more than one ice storm. They're pretty, but they're also terrifying.
Oh, they're dangerous as hell. I mean, God, I remember right after the winter after Sarah was born, there was a massive ice storm in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And the cops were coming around to enforce de-icing the sidewalks. And I was like, I'm nursing. I can't come out. There's no one else home. I'll get to it when I can, but I've got this baby. And the woman was like, no, you're coming out right now. And
Wow.
so I had to pack Sarah into her little snowsuit in the stroller and park her on the front porch where I went with the ice chopper, chopping up the ice on the sidewalk.
That's traumatic.
Yeah. Sarah wasn't happy either.
I'm sure.
She was missing her lunch. Anyway, Stapleton comes over. He puts his arm around Beryl. Who do you imagine you've been talking to? He asks. I imagine I've been talking to Sir Henry, she says. No, Watson says, and he introduces himself. Then we've been talking at cross purposes, she says, and she looks really uncomfortable.
Yeah, rather, she's been talking and he's been confused.
Yes. So they go inside. Stapleton's study is a veritable natural history museum in a different sense than it was in the Granada episode. So
yeah.
He's not a butterfly guy in this one.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God.
There's bleached animal skulls. There's unbleached human ones. There's arrowheads. And he shows off this bronze dagger with an amber handle. He says it's his most interesting find. And Richard E. Grant is just too good as this enthusiastic amateur archaeologist.
Yeah.
He's
a pleasure to watch in this.
Yes. These kinds of roles in these old manors, like he also played the kind of dissolute family patriarch in Saltburn.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just chomping up the scenery. Magnificent. So Stapleton also extols the virtues of living on the moor. We have our books, we have our studies, we have our interesting neighbors. And Beryl is looking down kind of demurely. And she looks like an abused woman.
Yeah, she does.
Uncertain, not knowing what she's going to get scolded for next. And the actress, in fact, said that she drew upon her experience of being physically and emotionally abused by her first boyfriend at the age of 18.
Oh my God.
Yes. And it works.
Yeah.
So the actress's name is Neve McIntosh. She's Scottish, and she's done a lot of Doctor Who work, like tons.
Yes. A lot.
Yeah, and she's gorgeous. So Stapleton invites Watson and Sir Henry to dinner on Friday so they can meet these interesting neighbors. As Watson's putting on his coat, Beryl escorts him to the door and tells him to forget what she said to him. But Watson says he can't. Why are you so keen for him to return to London? You know the story of the Hound, she asks. I don't believe in such nonsense, he says, unless you can give me some more definite information. I can't say anything definite. I don't know anything definite, she says.
She looks over her shoulder before she says that.
And she's kind of whispering at this point.
Yeah.
And then Watson grabs her arm, which is you don't want to do to a woman who's, already flinching like this.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't your brother hear what you have to say to me, he says. And she looks at him and says, please let go of me. And Stapleton approaches them. We knew Sir Charles well and miss him more than we can tell, she says, as Stapleton puts an arm possessively around her again. And, scene.
Yeah.
At Baskerville Hall, Watson's peeling off his wet clothes in front of the fire. And he's in the study with Sir Henry, and Sir Henry's got like papers and books everywhere. And Watson's telling Sir Henry how beautiful Beryl is.
Yeah, the scene opens with Henry saying a real beauty and Watson saying a rare beauty with a disturbing amount of enthusiasm.
Yes.
And in that case, Henry says, I accept.
Yes. And then he starts complaining about all the estate documentation. And he says to Watson, Mortimer lied to us. My uncle left him nearly £10,000.
That's £1,570,735 today.
Well, you could definitely buy a house in the New York area for that.
You could definitely buy it.
And then he says, Sir Henry says, what do you call that thing where the landowner has the right to bed the local women? And Watson fixes him with a look. Drop the seigneur. Sadly for you, the feudal system was abolished in Devonshire some time ago.
Also, unfortunately for him, that was a Victorian invention because of course it was. Victorians were fucking weird.
They were weird. That and the death cults, my God.
Yeah.
And Sir Henry says, shame. So he's got designs on Burrow, even though he's never laid eyes on her.
Yeah.
So in his room that night, Watson is drawing out Stapleton's dagger for Holmes for his next letter. And he hears a footstep outside. And he drops to the floor, looking through the crack at the bottom of the door to the hall outside, where there's a shadow. And meanwhile, Sir Henry is hearing the footsteps too, and he gets out of bed and stares at the door, and the knob rattles. And he picks up a poker, but when the door opens, it's just Watson, who tells him to be quiet and beckons him to the top of the stairs. So the roles are reversed here from the Granada.
Yeah. Yes, it's not Sir Henry coming into Watson's room and putting his hand over his mouth.
Right, while he's asleep. Yeah.
While he's asleep. That was
awful. This is much more realistic. They go down. Sir Henry's still holding onto the poker, and Watson's got his revolver, and they're peering around corners and slinking through corridors. Watson starts knocking on a wall.
They reach a dead end. They're following the sound.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
They reach a dead end, and that's when Watson starts knocking on the wall because this person had to have gone somewhere.
Right, and he finds a secret latch, and a small door opens, revealing another secret latch, and they hit that, and a large door opens. And they go up some stairs, which look fairly abandoned. And there's a man crouched in the window using a candle to make light signals. Don't move, I have you covered, Watson growls. And it's Barrymore. He turns around. What are you doing here, Sir Henry demands. It's the window, Barrymore says. I go around at night to see that they're fastened. Don't lie to me. What were you doing by the window, Sir Henry says. Signaling to someone on the moor, Barrymore says. And
Watson says.
Oh, is that what okay, I totally missed that. I thought it was Barrymore. Watson picks up the candle and they see a light being returned back from across the moor. And Sir Henry asks, who is it? It's my business, not yours, Barrymore says, which for a servant is the height of insolence.
Yeah.
I'll not tell you, he says. And Sir Henry promptly jacks him up against the wall. Watson says, Sir Henry, in a warning voice, and Sir Henry lets Barrymore go. You will leave my employment right away. If I must, I must, Barrymore says. You scoundrel, your family has lived with mine under this roof for over 100 years, and here I find you in some deep plot against me.
Henry has big main character energy.
Yes. No, sir, not against you, Mrs. Barrymore says. She's coming in with a lantern. I'm the one he's wronged. Do you think I'm a fool, she says to her husband.
And Henry asked her what she's talking about, and Barrymore's looking at his wife like, yes, I too would like to know what you're talking about.
Every night he signals to her that I'm in bed and asleep so she can come to him. Is this true? Sir Henry asks.
Barrymore's like, yes, apparently that is what I've been doing.
Yes. And Watson comes over to Mrs. Barrymore. So it was you, Mrs. Barrymore, that I heard crying. Yes, it was me.
She looks like she's trying not to look relieved that they're buying her story.
Yes. So the next morning, Sir Henry comes downstairs to see Mrs. Barrymore arranging flowers on a console table in the hall. She tells him it's a moth orchid. It should be all right there. It's not in the draft. It is not a moth orchid. It is a larger orchid, one that the set designers got at a plant shop.
It's very pretty, whatever it is. It's white.
It is still an orchid, yeah. But these larger orchids don't grow on any moors. And I'll have to send you the link to this. I ran across a kind of release packet for the filming of this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where they explain
I'd like to see that.
About a lot of things, filming locations, the orchids, and they get into some detail about the Hound that we'll get into at the next episode.
Yeah. Well, we're doing the seance in this part, so I'll talk about it then.
Yeah. So Sir Henry looks at the flowers and asks, "What about you, Mrs. Barrymore? Will you be all right?" "Yes, sir, I think so," she says. "Thank you." And we have zero resolution on what's happening to Barrymore himself at this point. Is he dismissed?
I know. Are you still employed?
Can he be dismissed and she can't be because they're a couple and they go together?
Yeah. So the assumption is that Barrymore is no longer fired.
I'm just like, and Sir Henry's going to put up with his butler cheating on his housekeeper.
Maybe they had a strong discussion afterwards.
Perhaps.
And Barrymore was like, okay, I promise not to cheat on my wife with a mysterious woman.
Ever again, yes. And then we're at dinner at Merripit House. It's that Friday. Mrs. Mortimer is talking about the seances that she does. And like we were saying, she's played by Geraldine James, who not only played Mrs. Hudson in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes, but she also played Mirabel in Gandhi, which I saw in the theater with my dad in 1982. So Mirabel was a British expat who worked with Gandhi, and then she started a series of ashrams after his death, and there were many, many rumors that he was being unfaithful with his wife, with Mirabel.
Oh, interesting.
He loved her very, very, very much. Yeah.
Oh.
So Stapleton is more interested in Holmes and his approach to science and rationality, while, as Mrs. Mortimer says, he would probably appreciate a spirit of inquiry. He would not, as Watson says, say that 2 and 2 make 5.
Yeah. Watson, she's going on about communication with the other side is possible. She's experienced it many times. You know, Joyce Barnaby's found a new hobby.
I love that. Yes. Aside from serial killing, to keep
serial killing and seances.
Yeah, to keep her husband out of the house.
Exactly. And Watson says, well, I know what Holmes would say. The world is full enough. No ghosts need apply, which is a line taken from The Adventure of the Sussex Vampire.
Oh.
Which also references the giant rat of Sumatra, for which the world is not yet prepared.
Which never actually turns into a story.
Right.
And Watson agrees that Holmes' knowledge, while eccentric, is extraordinary. But it has to be said, he says, that his ignorance is as remarkable as his knowledge. What do you mean? Stapleton asks. When I first met him, he was unaware that the earth traveled around the sun. And the room laughs at this. Around the sun, around the moon, it made no difference to his work. His rule is to acquire no knowledge that does not bear upon his object.
All of this is from A Study in Scarlet when they first
come.
And instead of asking Holmes what he does for a living, like a normal person would, Watson instead tries to deduce it by making a list of Holmes's interests.
Yes. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
While he's on a case, he sticks to the scent like a hunting dog, completely single-minded. And the guests start quizzing Watson on Holmes's knowledge of various subjects, such as philosophy, botany, and Watson says, oh, yes, his knowledge of botany. He can't do gardening, but he knows all the poisons. And music. Mortimer says, my wife received a communication from Paganini from the other side.
There's, when Watson is talking about, like, Holmes is like a bloodhound on the scent, like he gets very single-minded, there's a quick cut to Stapleton. This, of course, is assuming that the viewer doesn't know anything about the Hound of the Baskervilles, even though it's an incredibly famous story. You should be wondering, okay, well, Holmes is on this case.
Yeah.
He's so single-minded. Where is he?
Mm-hmm. Because he's nowhere to be found in any of this. Have you tried to communicate with my uncle since he died? Sir Henry asks Mrs. Mortimer. No, I have not. What is it that you want to know, Sir Henry? Lots of things, I suppose. What happened that night? What he was running from? What he feared so greatly? Will you try? And so Mrs. Mortimer starts a seance after dinner. And they all sit around a small table in another room where she's placed a glass of water for some reason. They join hands. Does the glass of water have some significance?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what it's there for.
They join hands and close their eyes. And it almost immediately, Sir Henry asks, is he there? Is he there? And Mrs. Mortimer gives this impatient little smile. I cannot work the spirit until conditions are right. A moment later, she says, I have
Well,
got.
they sit quietly for a few seconds with Watson eyeing everyone, and then Joyce opens her eyes. I call her Joyce.
Joyce, yes.
That's her first name. Opens her eyes, says, "Come in," and Stapleton's popping into his hand. And then she says, "I have Sir Charles here."
I have him on the line.
Yes, exactly.
I can feel and hear him. And there's this clacking noise. And she's asking, Sir Charles, what happened that night? What were you running from? And then her voice, this is hilarious, deepens. The Hound, the Hound.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's Sir Henry, sure.
And Beryl turns to Sir Henry. Please stop this. Tell us what it looked like, Sir Charles, Mrs. Mortimer continues. And there's a scraping sound from behind them. And Sir Henry turns around.
Yeah, staring at the window.
Its eyes were weeping red fire. Mrs. Mortimer says. Stapleton jumps up and goes to the window. He yanks open the curtains. There is a large, large dog there, growling. And it puts one huge paw up against the window pane that looks so completely fake.
Yeah,
it looks like a giant Muppet paw.
Yeah, like I said before, the Hound, the CGI is the worst I've ever seen.
It isn't even CGI. It's a stuffed animal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
There's parts later where it's like clearly CGI and it's awful, and I really appreciate that.
I will have to.
I don't want to imagine an actual dog being mistreated like this. So
no,
you can make it look like some horrible Muppet thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So Watson's got a chair. He comes up behind Stapleton. Beryl looks terrified. And then Watson runs out of the house. Sir Henry rushes to the door and sees Watson in the rain. Watson's like looking at footprints. And he says, "What's that for?" about the chair that Watson's carrying. "In case I had to turn lion tamer," Watson says. "You saw it too." "I don't know what I saw," Watson tells him.
I love that you saw it too. Yeah, it was at the window. Everybody saw.
Right.
It was really hard to not see this.
And then we're back at Baskerville Hall in front of a large fire. And Watson and Sir Henry are breaking out the brandy.
Yeah, I think we'll stop here for.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. I like this. We haven't, like we were saying, we haven't seen much of Holmes. That's canonical. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him because I really can't get a handle on Roxburgh as Holmes.
Yeah. I like that it's not afraid to let the story go on.
Yeah.
It's not, we have to show Holmes doing these pointless things that he obviously would not have had time to do.
And yes, I love Jeremy Brett as Holmes. Love him. But sometimes these sort of flamboyant tiptoeing around, where there's footprints or like he'll throw himself on the ground, these melodrama. It's just nice to see a different interpretation.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still stuck on Holmes as the sort of prototypical Holmes in visual storytelling.
Yeah, he does not. Richard Roxburgh does not look like.
No, he doesn't have the dark slick back hair. Jeremy Brett doesn't either right now, where we are in the filming. But
well, and he really doesn't right now.
No. But even like Robert Downey Jr.'s Holmes was just a lot more bohemian.
Mm-hmm.
You would kind of expect, I guess, of a second son.
Yeah.
No, second son goes into the military. Third son is the dissolute one. But there is no second son. It's just the two Holmes boys.
The third son. Yeah.
Yeah. And Stephen Fry is Mycroft. There's a whole thing we could do there. But...
yeah. The second movie is awful. I really like the first one. The second one is terrible.
Yeah, no, the first one is where it's at. They kept talking about doing a third one and they never did.
Thank God.
I think Guy Ritchie just got bored and moved on.
Yeah.
He does these sort of bro-y movies. So anyway, I'm on a tangent. Any other thoughts about the first half of this movie?
Well, we've talked about the cinematography. I really, really like the way it's filmed. I like the visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Which there wasn't any real visual storytelling in the Granada version, as far as I can tell. Visually, it was pretty it was pretty forgettable.
Yeah, they're focused on the narrative storytelling, not the.
Yeah, but you can do both.
You can, yeah, yep.
And I feel like in terms of the storytelling, this is a much looser adaptation. But it feels like the storytelling is more coherent.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's also, I don't know, it's packed with a little bit more. Like it's not packed. What am I trying to say? Not condensed, but
There are
yeah,
more details.
more story in less time.
Yeah.
Concentrated. Sorry.
Concentrated. Yes.
Oh my God. I just
back to Richard Roxburgh. My big thing for Sherlock Holmes is that as long as he has a voice that sounds like it would have been perfect for radio, I'm in. And Roxburgh does. I love the way he delivers his lines.
yes.
He has the Sherlock Holmes voice.
Right, for sure. Yes. So what else was Richard Roxburgh in? Like, I mean, he's still with us. He's, oh my God, he's only 3 years older than me. How very dare he? Oh shit, I'm old. Oh, he was in Moulin Rouge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's in a horror film with Calista Flockhart.
Sorry?
He was in a horror film with Calista Flockhart.
Oh, okay. He was in Van Helsing.
Yeah.
All right, so he's done his share of Gothic stuff.
Yes.
I don't see a credit for Miss Fisher, which is like, I feel like Miss Fisher is kind of like the, in a way, the SVU of Australia. Like everybody in Australia is going to be in it, just like, I know where I know him from. The Crown.
Oh yeah, he was in The Crown.
He played the British Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Bob Hawke. Yes. Ha ha. That was actually a good role for him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cool. All right. Any other thoughts?
This probably goes back to the cinematography, but I like the overall atmosphere. It's really leaning into the Gothic horror story element.
Yeah, it's really moody and dark,
and like very consistently.
Yeah,
leaning into it. The Granada version was pretty inconsistent on that front.
I felt like it's too brightly lit.
It is, yeah.
For the story. Yeah. I mean, I can see how you have to do that for TV because, and again, yeah, I'm not, was this?
Yeah, especially in the 80s, because there was a much smaller range of light to darks that televisions could handle.
Yes, there's a lot there, actually. So Game of Thrones, for example, the final season, there was one episode at least, but the one I'm thinking of, I think it was episode 4 or 6 or something of the final season, the big battle. You couldn't see anything. It was so dark, and they filmed it on purpose very dark. And the whole excuse was, well, people's televisions just have to be better.
That's not an excuse. That's just like, bad filmmaking.
If you want to see anything, you literally have to turn off all the lights in your house, like all of them. Top and bottom story. Like, you can't even have a light on in the attic if you want to see.
That's just a bad director choice.
Yes.
Well, I'm not making this entertainment now for people now. I'm making it for people 15 years from now.
God. And by that time, everyone will have come down so hard on your final season, nobody will want to watch it.
Exactly. It's amazing how quickly that series.
Oh, yes. It's been completely memory hold.
Yeah. Completely. Exactly. And it could have been a lasting cultural thing.
I know.
They blew it.
It was greed because for two reasons. The directors had gone on to get work at Amazon, which never panned out.
Probably
and-
because the last season of Game of Thrones sucked so much.
The author of the books can't finish them.
Yeah.
So I was looking up the history of the broadcasting of this, and it was never in theaters.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But it doesn't. Don't you think it really looks like it was meant for it? Like,
I agree. Yeah. It was a Christmas special.
oh,
They had the British do these Christmas.
they're Christmas special things.
Yeah, I love Christmas time and the Christmas special broadcasts. And the Hound was a mix of animatronics and CGI. I was looking at some of the pictures of the animatronic.
Yeah, it looks awful. I love it.
Giant puppet.
It's really terrible.
Oh yes, and we never see Franklin.
Yes, thank God. There's no Franklin. There's no Laura Lyons.
No.
Why was Sir Charles there? Who? Sir Charles? Don't care.
Right. He did.
Mortimer didn't come to Holmes about Sir Charles. He came about Sir Henry.
Yes. Well.
Okay. That's all from us this week. If you've enjoyed the show and haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support us, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends and join us not next week, but the week after, when we'll be discussing The Hound of the Baskervilles Part 2.
Sweet. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.